All right. Well, good morning. Well, I guess the first question I have for you, were you watching that game on Monday night? Did you see it as it happened?
So I was actually at my girlfriend's house. We were just kind of hanging out, and I had heard from some of my friends in a group chat that it had happened, and I knew that her brother was watching the game upstairs. So I popped up upstairs, and I was able to kind of see what was going on. But essentially, based on what I had heard about the situation, I knew it was probably something related to the heart, most likely Commotio Cordis. And yeah, it's something I can relate to, and I knew exactly what he was going through. So it was definitely a scary situation.
Well, no question, it was scary, and I'm just wondering if it conjured any memories, if you had flashbacks knowing what was going on right in front of you.
Oh yeah, of course. So I was kind of like seeing what's going on. It's definitely like a tough thing to watch, especially as like a live viewer. But me specifically, I was kind of triggered by what was going on because it just brought up a lot of the negative memories of having to go through the rehab and the terror that was going through my parents' mind when they saw what was going on with me. So I can only imagine what Damar's parents are feeling as they were at the game and they saw it happen to him. So I really I feel bad for what had happened, and I understand exactly what they're going through.
Joey, how much do you actually remember about that fateful Little League game you were involved in about a decade ago?
I actually don't remember much about the game itself. So I tell people that I can't really remember about a couple of weeks before it happened, and then maybe like a couple of weeks after it happened. I all I know about my situation is based off of what people tell me about it. So yeah.
Not sure if you heard the question. You
Oh,
were
sorry.
11 years old at the time of your Little League incident.
Yes.
And at the time, did you grasp the seriousness of what had happened to you?
Well, being so young, it's kind of tough to understand. Exactly the gravity of the situation. But as I grew older, I kind of started to recognize, just how lucky I was to not only survive that situation, but to be able to like function afterwards. Because a lot of times, what happens with commotio cordis is people end up having brain problems or they have some sort of issue after the fact. So I can only thank God or whoever was there that day to my situation now.
Well, I happen to know that at Colony Little League, they do have a defibrillator, and they did have people who were trained in that. And it's my understanding that there were police officers and league officials who were right there on the spot and knew just what to do.
Yes, there was that too. I couldn't be more thankful of my coaches who were there to rush on the field and give me CPR. And then also Officer Brian Kern, he responded to the scene. He was able to do compressions on me as well. I think the AED was used, not the one on the field, but when the ambulance came, the AED was used there. So there was a lot of different people that contributed to why I'm here today and why I survived.
Do you consider yourself the beneficiary of a miracle?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's like a 1 in a million chance that not only I survived what I did, but I came out of it and I was able to kind of just go back into regular life. So yeah.
It's interesting that both you and Damar Hamlin benefited from having medical professionals and medical knowledge right there on the field when it happened. And we know that so many times when bad things happen to people, they don't have that medical technology around them.
Yeah, and then not only the technology, but just the experience of knowing what to do in a situation like that. These people are trained professionals who they train for situations where they see people their heart stops on the field, and they know, oh, I got to go and make sure that this person is breathing, and then if they're not breathing, I know what to do with hands only CPR. And that's a lot of what I did after my accident was lobby for the hands only CPR bill, which was passed in 2015. And I know that that's probably saved countless lives throughout New York. So yeah, I'm very thankful for that.
And I remember interviewing you and your mom back then when you were crusading, lobbying for that. You parlayed your experience into that crusade to make sure that people across New York State receive CPR training in schools. Why did you do that? How much satisfaction did you see out of Governor Cuomo signing that bill into law?
Oh, it made me so happy because, right after my accident, a couple months afterwards is when I started doing work with the American Heart Association. And this was back in 2012. The bill wasn't passed until 2015. So in that 3-year period, I did a lot of lobbying with the American Heart Association, specifically in the capital, or I'm going down to New York City and spreading CPR awareness down there. And once the bill was passed, I was very, very happy to see that my work and my fellow colleagues' work was able to be reflected in a bill that was passed.
Joe, if you're comfortable talking about it, what is your neurological status today, 10 years later?
I feel fine. I mean, I'm currently, I was able to go through my bachelor's perfectly fine. Getting my master's right now. I really don't see any difference between now and then in terms of neurologically. Maybe a couple days after the accident, I was a little fuzzy still. I was still trying to get back into the loop of things. But 10 years later, I feel like perfectly fine. I don't think really affected me any neurologically way.
Has that incident impacted any decisions you have made in your life since it happened?
I would say I take a lot of like situations seriously, like more seriously now, especially like medically. Fortunately, I haven't really had to experience anything like that with anybody else I know. But when I hear about it on the news, I think medical situations like that are very important to educate yourself on. And yeah,
Just to refresh my memory, was it a ball that hit you?
yeah, it was a baseball.
Were you batting or pitching at the time?
I was batting.
Okay. Now, here's an interesting question. Well, I think it's interesting. Have you ever thought about the day that you might be watching your own kids play Little League Baseball? Do you think you may have any heightened anxiety knowing what happened to you?
Um, so like I said before, having something like that happen to you is like such a small percentage, and I really don't want my kids to think about that and then think, oh, I don't want to play baseball because of this reason, um, because if they like it and they like baseball, I don't want something to happen to me that's like a 1 in a million chance to scare them away from the sport that I really loved as a kid. So, of course, I will be a little bit anxious, but I don't want to let that stop them from doing what they love.
Are you reluctant to try anything athletically or anything else in life because of what happened to you?
Oh, no, no, no. I knew it was kind of like I was like a one and done kind of thing. I played football in high school afterwards. Um, and it's hard to really describe like how I wasn't really scared after the incident. Like I knew it was such a serious thing that happened to me, but I was never really like scared to try new things, especially with like sports or anything athletic. I just kind of mended back into like real life and try to be just kind of like a normal kid again.
It's interesting. You and Damar Hamlin are only about 2 years apart. The difference being what happened to you and what happened to him happened a decade apart. So I'm wondering if you can kind of understand what he will be going through in the coming weeks and months and years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he probably has more of an understanding of the situation than I did at the time. So I would say, just to make sure he would be taking his rehab like seriously because there is kind of a process you have to go through after it happens to you. And then other than that, I mean, I think he's a strong guy, so I'm positive that I'll be able to pull through this and see success in the future. And I really hope he ends up back on the football field.
Well, I don't know how closely you've been following his progress, but he is awake. He's communicating with family and medical people. And the first thing he asked when he woke up yesterday was, "Did we win the game?"
Yeah, I saw that.
What remarkable! You're both miracles, and this guy will be forever beloved in Buffalo. And you're
Yeah.
doing wonderful things in the world of finance too.
Hmm.
You're about
Yeah.
to do that. So congratulations on your you get your master's this spring, this year.
Yep. I'm gonna get it in May.
Very nice. Congratulations on that and all your success. And I'm wondering one last thing: is there anything I did not ask you that you think is relevant that you wanted to be included in this?
Sure. So something happened to me that was a serious situation, and a lot of the time, I'm remembered for, what happened to me. But I think that it's important to realize that it's not really what happens to you or what like you go through in life. It's kind of how you handle the situation. Um, After I had the accident, I started to volunteer at the American Heart Association because I saw an issue that there wasn't enough education on CPR and heart health, and I thought that was important to kind of bring it to light, and then to use my situation to um, better the education on heart health. And I really believe that it's not so much what happens to you, but how you respond to it and what you can get out of kind of a negative situation.
And you definitely turned adversity into something very positive. You championed that cause. That is to your credit. And I know it's impossible to enumerate how many lives you probably saved, but with so many more people being trained on CPR, we can't count it, but we know that you've made a positive difference, and you articulated your thoughts so beautifully, Joe. So thank you. I appreciate your time. Continued success. Congratulations on your imminent graduation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking to me today.
It's my pleasure. You be well.
You as well.